Everyone is telling you to dream the big dream and go for your goals this year. This is your year, girl. That's what everybody's saying. And you're like, enough. And I know I have been. You know, that is my main thing. Go after your dreams. Dream the big dream. Do it. We need your voice. But it's so hard, right? And things come up. And I see three main things getting in the way of heart-centered, soul-centered, mission-led, purpose-driven entrepreneurs like you. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to speak on them. I'm going to call them out, and then we can eradicate them forever. Sound like a plan? So you want to dream the big dream, or you're being encouraged to, and what's happening? Well, you feel like you want to dream a big dream, or you feel like that sounds nice, but then you might be feeling like, I don't even really know what I want. You know, I really don't even know what my big dream is. And when I see that come up, it's really because you're waiting on permission, or you need a green light, and you're not really feeling confident in your own opinion and what you think. And so, you can use this video as, or this audio, depending on how you're consuming it, as your green light, as permission to dream, as your permission slip, right? As your invitation. Or there's that quote that says, if you're looking for a sign, this is it. You know, this is the moment. So, permission granted, right? But then when there's permission granted, more stuff comes up. But what I want you to get into the habit of is choosing yourself. I did a whole video on this, and if it's not posted now, it will be in the future, and I'll link to it here. But there is a way to choose yourself. There's a way to give yourself permission. And so that, especially as a business owner, you cannot always be waiting on the sidelines, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be chosen. You've got to choose yourself. And so the first step in doing that is declaring your big dream. And that's going to come from you. It's not going to come from the outside world. And in fact, if you're used to looking left and right to see if everything's okay and what are taking inventory of what are we doing, that's not going to work. It's got to be sourced in you. It's got to come from you. And then you can kind of get how-to tips from the world. But the first vision and the source and the movement comes from you. I also talked about how to create a morning practice so that it really cultivates hearing that inner voice that I am talking about. So if you haven't seen that video, I will link to that as well so that you can create a practice around that. So that is where you'll be able to start visualizing and asking, and then just calling in that bigger dream. Okay, so permission granted, you got it, you are willing, you got to practice around calling in that higher vision. Then what happens? Well, what I find a lot of people will say, well, I know I don't want this, and I definitely don't want this, and I just don't want anyone to criticize me, and I don't want to have to work day and night to realize my dreams, and it's like, whoa. I'm saying dream the big dream, think into possibility. And it's so interesting that folks will go into what they don't want. And trust me, I've been there. I've shared with you before that the experience at my last official corporate job, one of my best friends and I would go to lunch for hours and hours and just complain about everything. Which isn't really my natural state. And so I would come back feeling terrible, but it felt like we were connecting, right? We were feeling like cogs in a machine, and people only cared about, the stock and bagels and pizza Fridays and, just that kind of stuff that we were like, yawn, this is not epic at all. And it felt like we were really connecting over that. But then we'd come back from lunch feeling even worse, and it would be way hard to finish the second half of the day. And so, there's not a lot of power in going into what you don't want, and it really doesn't give you any information. I mean, to a point it does. You know what you don't want, and so that you're not creating that in your life. But rarely do we think about, well, what would be great? What would be amazing? What do you want? What would that look like? Because that's more concrete, and you're able to really take action from that place. You're coming from an empowered place, even just thinking a possibility. And so if you've gotten stuck in a loop of only considering what you don't want, perfect. That's great. That's information too. Now lean into what is it that you actually want. And I know some people feel challenged by this. The third thing I'm going to mention may be the reason why. So you may feel challenged because when you really get honest and you think about what is the big dream, it feels huge, humongous, out of this world. How could you ever even? And one thing I'll encourage you to do is not worry about the how just yet, because as you can see, it's hard enough just to even dream the dream, right? So don't worry about the how just yet. Just get, I was going to say crystal clear, but you don't even have to be crystal clear. Just start imagining, what is it? What do you want to feel? What do you want to think? When I switched gears and decided, okay, I'm not going to dwell on what I don't want and what I don't want to create in my life. What do I want to create in my life? I didn't know. I didn't know the end game. I didn't know what it was. I just knew elements. And so I was like, well, I know I want to use my brain. I have a lot of training because I was going from job to job to job to job, which isn't ideal, but man, I had a lot of great training by then. And I also was volunteering. I'm always volunteering. And I was like, I have a heart for service. And I realized not everybody around me did, which is no judgment, but I was like, I have a heart for service and I really care about this. So I would love to be able to use my head and use my heart with something. The third element I knew was that I wanted to travel. I wanted to go immerse myself in another culture. And I even would have loved to learn another language. Those were like the three things that I wanted, or I could call out. I want to use my head. I want to use my heart. I would love to travel, and I would even love, like bonus gold star, if I could pick up another language on the way. And from some of you that know my story, that's what happened. I ended up going to Ecuador and teaching business development and life skills to orphan youth and single mothers. And of course, they taught me so much as well. And so that's where I learned Spanish. That's where I fell in love with doing this kind of work. And it started, though, I didn't know that. I didn't plan to go to Ecuador. That was not my plan. My plan was just calling in. I want to use my head, business development. I want to use my heart, volunteer and working in a developing country. I wanted to travel clearly and all that kind of stuff. So those were just the elements. And what you'll find, it's almost great in a way if you don't have the clear path. There's power in clarity. And so that's great if you have that. But if you don't, it almost lends yourself to be flexible, because you're able to say, as long as these elements are there, I'll be happy. And so that's how it ended up for me. And so I'm hoping that can end up that way for you as well. So lean into dreaming the big dream. And even if it feels big, that's okay. And even if it feels big but foggy, totally okay as well. I know folks like us are up to big things. We want to change policies. We want to create foundations that fund things. We want to eradicate problems such as homelessness and hunger and inequality, and that feels huge. However, when you can at least call it out, at least name it, you're getting the ball rolling. People are going to come into your life that are going to help you on your mission. There's going to be people who are going to be really charged up about your movement. And it'll also help you really get clear that it doesn't have to just be you. It doesn't have to be your dream, you only. It's just you and your hands, and boom, you go to work. But you'll even get to see how your morning practice is so necessary and how community is so necessary, because it's about calling in the resources that you need to then help bring your movement forward. And we talk about what is your movement, the movement behind your business, in another video. But for now, you got to just have this part down. I don't want to say clear, but for now, you just want to get this part down. So you officially have permission to dream. You are no longer focusing on what you don't want, and you are dreaming the big dream unapologetically, unafraid, and you are willing to even just know the elements. If you don't see the whole staircase, just take the next step. So go out there, dream those big dreams, and shine on, sister.